Stars are whispering tales of old, planets spinning, stories bold. Life is dancing through the night, countless worlds in the starlight. Galaxies full of mystery, infinite in their history. Beyond our dreams and our sights, life blooms in the cosmic lights, dancing on the edge of space. Take me away, feeling the universal grace. In the dark our hearts ignite, life across the endless night. Nebulas with colors bright, birth new wonders in the light. Comets trail their sparkling tears, life endures through the years. In the silence of the void, every heartbeat is enjoyed. From the depths and to the heights, life expands through cosmic night. Dancing on the edge of space, and off we go, feeling the universal grace. In the dark our hearts ignite, life across the endless night. Dancing on the edge of space, and off we go, feeling the universal grace. In the dark our hearts ignite, life across the endless
Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome. It is I, Mark Antonio, at least I think I am. And I'm here with, of course, everyone's favorite astronomer, Daryl Mason. Hey there, how you doing, Daryl?
Oh, Mark. Hello, everybody. It is I,
It
Daryl.
is you, Daryl. That is right. So we're going to have some fun tonight. As I said, the title of the stream is Orion Rising, so we're going to spend a lot of time in Orion tonight, looking at some of the really cool features and phenomena that are in the Orion region. I also want to give you a little news. We're going to basically do what we have to do in order to install this telescope out in Benson, and hopefully we can make it up with donations afterwards, because we're on a time clock with them, and the pier is being made, and I'm going out there on the 4th, which is next Tuesday, and I'm going to be installing the new telescope. And so this stream tonight constitutes what appears to be the last stream where the telescope is all alone. It'll have a big brother by next week and will be operational. And this field is 1.5 degrees by 1 degree tall, and the field of the new telescope is going to be like this big. It's gonna be like this big here. So we'll be photographing things like this, and then at the same time photographing the central portions of these things. It's going to be pretty cool, and we'll have both of those. Those will all be available for you. I'm still working out the server details to get that stuff up to the server. I think I've got it worked out. I have the computer for the Benson Observatory over here. I actually created a physical circuit with relays to actually handle the housekeeping stuff that we do here, like turning on the telescope, opening the roof and closing the roof, etc. And I'll be able to integrate that into the setup that's in this existing building out in Benson on the mountain. So things should be good, and I'm really looking forward to using both telescopes at the same time. I haven't figured out how I'm going to do the screen real estate thing yet, because as you can see, this is one telescope takes all this. However, with the new setup, we're not going to need this anymore. Okay, we're going to have sharp cap. All right, we won't be using this anymore. We're going to have a different system for steering the telescope. We're still going to use our stellarium. We're going to have our stellarium system that allows us to go and center on the objects of interest that we want to look at and drive to them. We're still going to have that. Okay. However, we're going to be using... Oh, great. Satellite went right through. We're going to be using different tools, but they're going to be identical tools. So both telescopes will eventually, this one and the new one, are going to operate the same way with the same exact mounts. This mount here is a fork mount. You can see it has these twin forks right here and right here, and the telescope is between them. The tube is between them, and that is a problem if you move the telescope down too far. It'll bump things, and if you go up too high, if you have stuff on the back of the telescope, it can hit the backside. So we don't want that. So we're gonna take this off the forks and move to the new mount. We already have the mount. It's out in our storage garage out in Mesa, Arizona. And we're going to put this telescope on that mount, and it's going to go in the Benson Observatory next to the telescope we're installing. And that will be phase 2 of the Benson project. And then phase 3 will be the solar telescope going in out here in Connecticut, where I am. Sorry, that telescope's like 2,600 miles away out in Arizona, and I'm running it from Connecticut. And so we're going to be running these telescopes, like I said, long distance, no matter what, either way. And so I will have, we'll have 3 observatories, not online all at the same time, obviously, because the solar telescope will be during the day. I have the solar telescope here. It's something I've had for a couple of years. I'm now going to put it in a enclosure out in the front, and it's going to be under you can use linear actuators to actually move the closure on and off. I've already messed with these and played with these. It works great. And then I will have the telescope able to come online, and it will automatically follow the sun all day long, whether we're using it or not. So all we have to do is connect to it, and there will be the sun. And it's going to be the sun in the light of hydrogen alpha, so we can see the prominences, and we can see the sunspots and solar flares, solar granulation, the granules on the surface, which are like convection zones, like when you look in a pot of boiling water. It's all those little convection cells. That's what granules are on the surface of the sun, effectively. This here that we're looking at is the Casper, the Friendly Ghost Nebula. It is making quite the showing tonight. I have to say, this is absolutely stunning, and I'm really, really, really happy with how this is coming out. And to give you an idea, we have 44 shots that I've already acquired, but it looked this good when we had 20 shots. All right. Now, if I move this mid-level thing in, you're going to see it get a little bit brighter, and you'll see more detail. So you'll see this dark dust. Okay, you see how it's denser. Look at that, Daryl. Look at that detail in there. Wow. I think we should zoom in on that. This is just something else. This star in here is apparently not ionizing any of the hydrogen gas that's in here. This is all dust, and this blue is the scattered light from the star that the dust is causing. The dust is actually scattering that light, and it scatters the high frequencies, which happen to be blue, and that's why it looks the way it does. So the colors of the universe include the color blue quite often. Down below we have this very, very dark knot of dark dust, and as you can see, it almost has a skirt of dust down below it too, and that continues down for some time. Then within it, you'll notice there are areas of red. Now this is hydrogen emission nebula, so there are stars in this region that are actually ionizing hydrogen and causing this to light up and glow red, which is what hydrogen ionization does.
Well, it's an interesting looking little object there.
Yeah, this guy here is really quite interesting, isn't it? Let me get my target name here. All right, I am going to M78. That's what we want. This is M78. We're going to set the target name. Okay. And we're going to save the image with annotations. It saves the whole image, not just this little zoomed area that we have. Okay. So, for instance, when you go out in the server, which you can, and I encourage, you'll see this image. It has the entire frame of the view here with this beautiful dark dust cloud. This is a molecular cloud. It's made of the debris left over from both supernovae and stars like the sun that have expired and gone through their existence cycle. And when we look at this dust, it's actually made of these molecules of carbon and silica, and then it's got other materials attached to it because of the fact that it's gravitationally condensing a little bit inside these dark clouds. Let me back this out a little bit and show a little bit more. And now I'm going to come over here, and this right here, I'm going to over process this and really pump it up beyond what it should be, just so you can see what else is hiding in here. Okay, so we got this long line coming down. It goes over here, comes down here, snakes around here. This is all one tendril, right? It goes out of the shot above and comes down, curves around and comes down. That's what's really there. But to actually be visible and see what we're looking at, we tend to process it in such a way that it becomes obvious, but not quite as bright. This is more realistic. All right, now we're going to add another level of detail. I want you to watch these little areas over here, because I'm about to sharpen them dramatically. So watch this. So here we go. Now watch.
This is all still part of the molecular cloud complex, Orion cloud complex, isn't it?
Yes, it is. This is part of the Orion molecular cloud complex.
Yeah, you might show them stellarium in just a minute when you're set up there.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So as we come into stellarium again and back out a little bit, you'll notice this is Orion, and this is Orion the hunter. There he is, ta-da, the big hunter. Okay, and down here in his belt is the Orion Nebula, which we'll visit.
Well, that's not the belt, that's a sword.
I said below his belt, didn't I?
I thought you said the belt.
Okay, so I meant to say below his belt. It's this,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and so the Orion Nebula is down below his belt in his sword, as Daryl correctly says. And of course we have Betelgeuse, we have Bellatrix, Rigel, and Saiph. And Betelgeuse is that beautiful red supergiant star, 750 light years away from us. And in looking at it, as astronomers, we look at Betelgeuse, and the teams that are studying Betelgeuse have pointed out that Betelgeuse is actually doing some very strange things, and it could be very close to going supernova, which it's going to do. Betelgeuse used to be a bright, hot blue star like the belt stars here. This is Alnitak, Alnilam, and Mintaka. These are all O-type stars, the hottest and bluest stars in the universe. Not these three in particular, but that's the type of star that's the hottest and bluest, is the O's. And Betelgeuse used to be an O. So why is it red? It's red because of the fact that when Betelgeuse ran out of hydrogen, its core began to collapse, and we had some new hydrogen that started to burn just outside the core, and that caused more energy to push the outer envelope out, and it makes Betelgeuse grow very, very large. And so it became a red giant. And then it became a red supergiant some a couple million years after that, and it's in that phase now, which is at the end of its life. So Betelgeuse is about to go supernova. We don't know when. I hope it's like tonight. Okay, I hope it's sometime soon. It'd be lovely to see it. And it's actually only 750 light years away, not thousands of light years away or millions like we usually see. So, and if it happens, Betelgeuse will be visible in your daytime sky. Okay, when the sun is in the same part of the sky as Orion, or it'll be the brightest thing in our nighttime sky. So that'd be pretty cool.
As for what I mentioned a few minutes ago, where we're looking now, you see where we're pointed there, just to the left of the three belt stars, upper left of Alnitak. This is all Mark's talked before about the Orion molecular cloud complex. And if you see that faint red semicircle there, that's Barnard's Loop. That's past supernova remnant. Basically everything to the right of Barnard's Loop, if not more so even, is a huge molecular cloud.
Yeah, that's correct.
Just the lit portions we're seeing, like in the Orion Nebula, that's where stars are lighting up the inside of the cloud complex.
Yep.
And also here in Casper the Friendly Ghost, we're looking at now Messier 78, and hopefully some other ones here. One of our favorites is the Boogeyman. Maybe we'll see it too.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the way this is coming out, it's an exceptional night. So we are going to definitely explore this region in detail. So here's what we do, guys. For those that are new, if I hit save here, we're going to save it. It's going to go out to a directory on our server. All right. And that server is at skytourlive.org. You can go to skytourlive.org and you can actually download everything that I'm showing you for free. And you will be able to download these images. So, for instance, this image here, this is what's up there right now. It goes up in about 30 seconds, and there it is. That's what you're going to get, and you can download this, zoom in, check out all the details. Now, if you want to be part of the SkyTour family even more, you can consider joining our Patreon. All right, and for the Patreon subscribers that are like $10 or more a month, you get images like this, but highly processed, that are in absolutely stunning high res, so that you can put them on giant posters if you want. And if you'd rather we do it, you can go to skytourlive.org and scroll down, and it'll tell you it'll give you a choice to take you to buy and get some cool art. And you can get imagery put on canvas. You can get images under glass. You can get images all kinds of substrates, even metal, and that's pretty cool. And if you actually want images like this on everyday things, you can get them on glasses, mugs, not glasses, but travel mugs, and way more, about 50 different products that we have up there. We even have playing cards up there. We even have a pickleball set that's STLS. Okay, has the STLS logo on it if you were interested in that. So there's a bunch of stuff up there that is at the Etsy store called SkyTour Shop. And any way you can support us is great, because we are going to be having a lot more expenses out in the Benson Observatory, and it will be too. And I don't make anything on this. I don't take any pay for this. So if you can help us out, that'd be fantastic. We just want to bring you the best astronomy that you can get. And frankly, I think this is probably among the best out there. And not because of what I'm saying, but because we're not only taking the pictures, telling you what they are, we're giving you the pictures at the end of it. And no one's doing that. No one's doing that. So, enjoy. I will take a time now while we're waiting for the last pictures to come in. We'll go to about 60 images here, and then we'll move on. I want to say hi to Kevin. He was the first one here. How you doing, Kevin? Sheldon Harrison just came in just behind him. Raul Bobadilla, how are you, man? And let's see, Daisy and Zoe Amethyst are with us. The Goblin's with us. One of our past winners of equipment is the Goblin. And we have C&D Boy. I think that's Doug. Richard Spencer, how are you, man? And he's another previous winner of equipment. We give away equipment on occasional nights too, by the way. Fantasy's with us. And let's see, Victor Anthony's with us. How are you, brother? And we have, let's see, who else I'm looking at? I saw somebody else here. And these are just the people that are typing right now. Oh, okay, we have LCX. Is that LCXT? That's probably a word that's sort of... I can't tell what that's supposed to mean, but LCXT. Catherine Messick's with us. Hi there. Good to see you, Catherine. And Kurt's with us. Kurt, how are you? Nice to have you with us, as always. Haynes Sherry is with us. Judy M is with us. Good to see you as well. Sam S is with us. You guys, Michael Hedrick, of course, you guys are always here. It's wonderful that you guys really support us. So, I love it. Thank you. Kevin, glad you're good. All right. So, Fantasy, the one and only. Yeah, exactly. Okay. We're at 58. We're going to just do 2 more exposures and then move on. We have a full width half maximum filter that we're running, which means that we only allow images that are going to give us round perfect stars to be included. If this one was allowed, then this entire stack of images, all these images have been stacked on top of each other to remove noise and show us more detail, like you see here. And if that one image was allowed in, it would have you would have ruined the whole stack, because it would have elongated the stars, and you can't take it back. Well, you can. I can hit unstack here if we didn't like it, but it doesn't come through if it's not within our filter. All right, and this will be the last one. All right, and this is Casper the Friendly Ghost, and there we go. So Messier 78 is a reflection nebula, as I said, and it is a nebula where the stars are just pumping out lots of light, but the blue light is what the dust particles in here trap out and reflect back immediately in all directions. It's called scattering. That's why our sky is blue. You notice it's the same color as our sky, because this is called Rayleigh scattering, and Rayleigh scattering will produce a high frequency energy light that is blue, and it will cause this process that we see in our sky as well as in our night sky in these nebulae. So, but make no mistake, there's probably not a whole lot of oxygen in here to breathe at all. So there we go. All right, so this is the Messier 78 Casper the Friendly Ghost. And
Can we? What?
oh, sorry,
That's okay.
you wanted to zoom in on it, I think you said.
Yeah, that's all right. Carry on.
Okay. It would have been a good thing to zoom, but all right. Okay, so what we're going to do now is go to the next object that we want to check out here. This is cool. And you'll notice we're not going to go very far. We're just going to move over. And first things first, I'm going to bring up our DSO, Deep Sky Objects, and I'll bring up the Sharpless Catalog, Barnard Catalog, Lynn's Bright Nebulae, and Lynn's Dark Nebulae. I think that's all we need. And then come on out, and you'll see that we're going to have more stuff here, namely LDN 1617. We have LDN 1622, which is what we're looking for. Okay, that's Lynn's Dark Nebula 1622. So we're going to move the telescope over there. You'll watch this crosshair, which pinpoints where we're looking. It'll move there. You'll see the stars moving in addition. And so now we're here. We just crossed the Gulf here. This is the Barnard's Loop. And if we play our cards right, we can have it set up so that we'll be able to see Barnard's Loop just at the edge of our field, but I don't think we're going to get that luxury. Alright, so let's let me just scroll us out a little bit. Okay. Alright, I'm going to see if I can do an identifier here. It may not find anything. Let's see if it does. Alright, Hipparchus star 27750. And we're going to center that in the view for a moment. And this is going to help us do a precise alignment. So 27750. Okay. Meanwhile, over here, we're going to go to that star, which is probably this one here, 56 Orion. Yeah. Okay, so this is where we are. Okay. And that's what's centered. So what I'm going to do now is come back here, show you that it's centered here, and I'm going to come back, and now I am going to align our telescope coordinates on all this. So you'll see the crosshairs move down. So now we are aligned with it. So now we'll go over here to 1622, which is actually in the field, but it gives us a precise motion. So now we're going to move here, and you'll see that. Okay, so here we moved over. All right, and so we are right in here, and so let's just do that and then come out. It's kind of where we were before. Now we'll take a image now and see how much more we have to move it. I'm just going to do a quick 35-second shot here. And Kathy Pernasek's with us. Hey, Kathy.
Hi, Kathy.
Kevin O'Neill is here. Hey, Kevin. Okay. Alright, now I'm going to just start to stack up here anyway. This is it's going to show you the last object we looked at. Okay, but it's blown out because this was in effect. I'm going to actually drop that down. Alright, let me, first things first, let me just drop the music down a little bit. That might be a little too loud for folks. Okay, let's see if we have what we need in here. Yeah, we do. We just got to move it down a little bit. Okay, this star is going to come down to about here, and we shall be all set.
This is a really cool object.
It really is. It's a beautiful, beautiful dark nebula with so much going on in it that it's really, really pretty. And with the night like it is tonight, I'm really looking forward to it, Daryl.
Well, sort of like Casper. It's kind of spooky, too.
It really is. You're absolutely right. Okay, so I'm just going to drop this a little bit more. And we're going to move a little bit eastward to catch this over here. There's a special little cool thing on the tail here. Tail end of it. Okay. Tim F is with us. Hey, Tim. What's going on, brother? Yay, brother. All right. Okay, and the other thing I have to do is just make sure that we are focused here. So I'm going to come in here. We got 47 stars. And I'm going to pump us in the positive direction for a moment. Okay, go one more. And then there we go. And then I'm going to now do a focus run. It's important to refocus the telescope throughout the night because as the temperature drops, it ends up changing our focus, and we want to make sure that the contraction of the glass and lens elements in the telescope is kept pace with by our refocusing of the system. So this will be relatively quick, I hope. So while we're waiting, I'd like to get a feeling for where everybody is. Hey, Kathy, thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
For the new year and new equipment. Oh, thank you. That is so sweet. X-Lady is really a saint. You know that, right?
Sure. What were you starting to say?
I was starting to say that I want to know where everybody is from. I know where some of these people are from, but I'd like to know where more people are from. Some of the people that have joined us in the last couple months, I don't know where they're from. I'd love to know where everybody's listening from. I mean, like Lubo is in China and he listens to us. David Schmidt is in Bangkok or Thailand. We
I
have.
haven't seen him in a while.
I got a card from him.
Yeah.
Nice Christmas card, very nice. Okay, we got our focal point right there. That's the calculated center of the focusing curve, the lowest part, meaning the stars are smallest there. And as soon as the curve is complete, then what happens is it refocuses the telescope. You're seeing it doing that right now. It's dynamically focusing. And once that's done, then we get out of that. We don't need it anymore. And now we have this right where we need it. And so what I'll do is I'm going to get our exposure up here. We're going to go to do another 45-second shot. And then we're going to go from low light mode, which we're in now, into deep sky mode. Deep sky mode allows us to explore the intricacies of these nebulae. That's the one we took earlier. It's now down lower, so we're going to get to see the rest of it because there's more out there. I just think it's really interesting how, if all goes well out there, this will be the last stream where we're constrained to just one telescope. It's really going to be incredible. Ben Zavela's with us. Hi, Ben. Springfield, Missouri is where Kevin's from. Kevin O'Neill. Hey, that's cool. Home of Bass Pro Shop. Hey, guess what? Our CFO, Marianne, is a huge fan of Bass Pro.
I'm a huge fan of cashew chicken. Kevin, I was born and raised in Springfield. I remember when Bass Pro Shop didn't exist. It was just one shelf of lures and rubber worms at Brown Derby Liquors. And Springfield style cashew chicken absolutely knocked your socks off. I love that stuff. It's different than cashew chicken anywhere else. It was invented by a Chinese chef back in the early 60s, and it was basically Chinese hillbilly fried chicken. It's deep fried chicken nuggets and oyster sauce with
Wow.
sprinkled with cashews and green onions on top. And it'll absolutely knock your socks off.
Apparently so.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
An interesting story in Springfield, actually. They had a lot of Vietnamese people come in after the fall of Saigon, the Vietnamese boat people. And a couple of Chinese restaurants in town had been running with cashew chicken. And when the boat people showed up in town, everybody started opening cashew chicken joints. And, I mean, old hamburger stands became cashew chicken joints, and it was really amazing to see.
Wow.
Highly recommended if you ever pass through Springfield.
Okay, that's cool.
Izabela's here.
Hey, Izabela. I just want to go through and look. I noticed that Stuffy's with us too. Hey, Stuffy, I missed you earlier. Sorry about that. I asked where people are from, and I see all kinds of stuff, kinds of responses. It's pretty neat. Let me go back down. Let's see who's here from where. CND boys. Mark, you got Bill, that's Bill Skywatcher, hooked on model building now. Well, yeah. And I taught him a whole bunch of stuff. He was here for like 3 hours, and I told him all kinds of things, and we got some stuff going for him and ordered equipment. All right, so let's see where we are here. Okay, we've got Mr. Kitty is in Tennessee. Raul is in Brooklyn. Hey, man, that's cool. Fantasy's in Bakersfield, California. I kind of knew that. Mike Hedrick, he's in Southern Oregon. Judy M is in Manitoba. That's cool. It's so nice to hear from Canada a lot. C&D boy is from Canada. And let's see. Okay, and Fantasy says, I'm from Little Saigon in California. Okay. That's cool. Yeah, let's see. Let's see who else is giving it. Okay. Lauren Mortensen says, and by the way, hi Lauren, says Utah. Very nice. That's cool. Kathy says, yes, Mark, he, meaning Bill, is addicted to model building. It's just a phase. Don't worry. He'll get out of it, and we'll all be better. Don't worry. Yeah.
That's ways to spend your time.
Yeah. No, Bill Skywatcher is, he likes building space models and so forth. And I had to go, I went and I kind of made the mistake of teaching him how to drill the holes in his model and put in LEDs. And I told him he should do fiber optics. Because I did about, it had to be at least 5,000 or 6,000 fiber optic strands when I was refurbishing a ship from Buck Rogers in the 25th century called the Draconia. That was it Princess Ardala or whatever. It was her flagship, and it was. I
remember her.
Yeah, well, everybody does.
I want Buck Rogers.
That's right, and yeah, and so we did the restoration of it. It was in really sad shape. We rebuilt pieces that were broken and stuff, and it came out gorgeous. And we rerouted thousands of fiber optic cables, and many of them were broken, so we had to reroute them and just do them all over. So we had to carefully open up and close this thing up. It was pretty crazy. And then it turns out that it was really liked so much that you remember, Gil Gerard played Buck Rogers, but then Aaron Gray played Wilma Deering, right? And I was having dinner upstairs, and I got a call, and it was Gil Gerard. And he says, I saw your Draconia. You did a great job, blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah. Oh, very cool. Thanks, Gil. Thank you so much. It's so nice. And so we talked for about 20 minutes, and of course my dinner was cold by then. So I put down the phone and said, wow, that was Gil Gerard from Buck Rogers. And then the next thing I know, the phone's ringing again. It's Aaron Gray. I saw the model. It's so beautiful. It's like, come on, are you and Gil in on this? And she, no, and she wasn't. It's just that's when it got out there, and they had always had a love of the series. So she called and said, oh, it looks beautiful, which is cool. I mean, it wasn't just me working on it. And I had 1, 2, 3, 4 people, including me, working on it at any one time, and it took about 6 months. So it was a long project, so that was fun. It was good to get that. And then they sent signed photos of themselves, which was kind of cool. And I got them somewhere. I think they're over on my shipping area. Here's the Boogeyman that we're talking about. Look at that. It's a dark nebula. It'll make itself more evident. We've got only 7 shots stacked right now, but we're doing 45 seconds.
I don't think we'd actually told him yet that it's the Boogeyman. This is the Boogeyman, folks.
Yeah, well, I thought we said we were going to it. Maybe we didn't actually do it.
You said LDN 1622.
Oh, you're right. I didn't say the Boogeyman. This is the Boogeyman, folks. As Daryl said. Yeah. And as you can see, in our database, it's not known. I say our database, the database that Robin Glover puts into SharpCap. But this is a beautiful dark nebula. You can see it trails off here and then comes down here. And you'll notice a little reflection nebula right here. This thing is really cool. It's an area where this star's light is just being reflected off the dust. It's not scattering so much as just reflecting. And scattering produces a blue nebula like we see around the Pleiades. A straight reflection just reflects the actual light of the star. And you can get all that out there. So it's pretty cool. Hey, 12 Feet Tall's with us. Hey there, how you doing? Oh yeah, question. What's your opinion on the latest UFO whistleblower and the egg? There's a team of photo analysts that I head. It's called the Photo Analysis Team, and it's for the Mutual UFO Network. And we got receipt of the egg video, and we went through it. And when we did it, we all did it privately, separately. So, and then I helped assemble the data, and Bob Spearing for MUFON did another assembly. We did a video on it and a report. And it turns out that the egg that was produced by Jake there, that he sent us, that video, we think, all of us to a letter think it's a hoax. And for a variety of reasons. Stemming from fake night vision to incorrect shadows to the camera being right next to the cable to the sound of the helicopter being heard through the camera. You know, the cameras, these technical cameras don't have sound on them. And there's no helicopter we know of that actually has a downward looking camera that also listens to sound. A helicopter so loud, all you would hear is like, you wouldn't hear the chop, chop, chop of the helicopter. It is fake, and fantasy is correct. So maybe that egg, maybe that egg object is, a recreation. We haven't been told that. It's being passed off as the real thing. So I think it was rather obvious to us all in the photo analysis team that it was fake. And I am comfortable with my judgment saying that it's fake. So that's beautiful. So that's what I think right now. Now, the thing that could be happening is I was told, some weeks ago now, that I might be asked to testify in Congress because of the unknown submerged object that I witnessed at sea on a submarine.
I saw that recently.
Where'd you see it?
There was something, I think it was on YouTube, where they specifically mentioned objects traveling hundreds of miles an hour underwater.
Yeah.
And they wanted to look into it.
Yep.
And I thought about you.
Yeah, I mean, several of those places have done a story on my experience, but I've also there's Admiral Tim Galladay, who I know, and Admiral Galladay has corroborated everything I said without question. And I actually did a job for the Joint Chiefs some years ago, and this was after the experience I had at sea. I was not a sailor. I was just an invited guest on a sub. I was doing special work for the Navy at the time. I still do, actually. And when I was at sea, I was seasick, so I sat with the sonarman. They had an active sonar, and I sat next to him at one of the sonar stations just to get my stomach back because I said I could. And as it turns out, while I was sitting there, this unknown submerged object came ripping through the sonar at hundreds of miles an hour. And the kid running the sonar didn't know where to put it, what to do with it, how to classify it. And the executive officer just said, log it and dog it. And the kid said, sir, yes, sir. And me, a big shot, being an invited guest, I walked up to the XO. And you can kind of see where this is going to go. And I said to him, sir, I'm familiar with these fast movers. That's what they called it on the boat, a fast mover. I said, is there anything I can help you with? And he said, D'Antonio, right? I said, sir, yes, sir. He said, you having a good trip? I said, sir, yes, sir. And he smiled and said, let's keep it that way. And he walked away. So, okay. So it was only a few years later that I did that job for the Joint Chiefs. And when I was down there, I was sitting with one of the chiefs right in his home. And I asked him, I said, "Sir, is there anything you can tell me about the Fast Mover program?" And he didn't let on that he, I don't know how to say it, but all he did was he looked at me and he smiled and said, "I'm sorry, I can't talk about that program, Mark." And I was like, "Oh my God, it's real." So, the Navy's been seeing things, and their orders are observe and report, do not engage. Because it's a death sentence, probably, if you try to engage with these things that are out there, because nobody knows what they are. Damn it, look at that. That's going to make another line right there, right through the tail. Oh, yes. Whenever you do stuff near Orion, you're near the celestial equator, so you're going to get satellites that are on the equatorial plane a lot. Sorry about that.
Those dark clouds at the upper left part are really starting to show up now.
I know, if it wasn't for this satellite trail.
Yeah.
Actually, I can unstack that. Ah, good. So I was able to get rid of it. I used the unstack feature and I took that one off the stack, and so now it's pristine again.
Is that another new feature?
Yeah, it's nice.
Huh.
It's right here. See, unstack.
Yes, I see that.
And you can only unstack the one previous one, so you got to keep watching. And if you don't like what it did, you say unstack. And
Michael H. has a question of you.
Okay. Let's see what Michael H. has to ask about. Michael says, "Mark, can I ask a radar Venus question, sir?" Who's calling me sir? How dare you? Yes, go ahead. Radar astronomers in 1962 bounced radio waves off Venus, and the reflected wave came back. Partially Doppler shifted. The west edge of Venus produced a blue shift, and the east edge a red shift. Is this common? Yeah, it is, because you're getting the what? Was that Daryl?
I'm sorry. Carry on.
Okay. You're actually you're getting the rotation rate of the planet when you see that, if there's a rotation rate, and it could be also the cloud movement. So you have to differentiate between the rotation rate of the planet, its orbital rate around the sun, we know, but the rate of rotation, like a Venusian day. Venus has a weird day. It's not 24 hours or 23 hours. It's way longer, and it's sort of tied up in a little bit of that tidal locked mode, but it's not really tidally locked. But it does have a longer daytime period, which is probably responsible for why it's so hot at the surface, like 900 Fahrenheit on the surface, with atmospheric pressure 90 times what ours is. The Russians tried to land probes on Venus multiple times. Let's see, there was probe Venus 5, Venus 7. Venus 5, when it tried to land, the parachute cords just detached because of the heat and acid rain, basically, at upper altitudes. And it just barreled into the ground at high speed. 7... Seven had problems as well of its own, and finally, when the Venera lander landed, it was able to take pictures for a short time until the pressure destroyed it too. Now, the reason that the Venera lander got those photos at all was because the cameras themselves were in a pressure vessel, like a submarine underwater. All right, it was in a pressure vessel. These cameras, there were like 2 of them, I think. And they were in a pressure vessel, and as soon as it landed, the camera covers popped off automatically, and the pressure vessel kept the camera in there safe for a few moments. And then it actually ended up taking pictures of the Venus surface before it fried from the heat.
It lasted like 30 or 40 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
Michael, no, it did not take ages to get the signal back. I don't know the particulars of when they did it in 1962, but it must have been when Venus was relatively close. and you're probably talking, send the message and you get the bounce back. You might have been talking on the order of an hour, something like that, I would guess.
Probably less than that, because Mars is as little as 4 minutes and as much as 22 minutes. So it's going to be probably maybe minute and a half, 2 minutes maybe, I would guess, depending on how far it is, where it is in its orbit.
Venus at its closest comes, 30 or 35 million miles away, which is comparable to Mars at its best. 186,000 miles a second into 30 or 35 million isn't very big.
That's right.
Somebody asked earlier, Linda, I believe her name was, about...
Oh, Linda Judd?
Yes. Did we do a show about the alignment, the planetary alignment? We have talked about it, Linda.
We did, yeah.
Yeah. I noted tonight, actually, I'd been curious seeing Saturn fall away after it was in conjunction with Venus. That Saturn is dropping toward the sunset rather quickly now. It's going to disappear in a few weeks. And that will break the one alignment, supposedly. Saturn won't be visible anymore. But Mercury will be popping up right when Saturn goes away. That's in about 3 or 4 weeks. So Mercury will kind of be taking Saturn's place.
Yeah. I'm on 12 feet tall asked, do you think aliens are using hypertech like zero-point energy traveling through wormholes? Is that how they're visiting us? Actually, I've been lecturing around the country. Actually, one of my most popular lectures is how they travel. In fact, on March 26th here in Connecticut at Aquila's Nest Vineyard, they're opening the vineyard just for my talk, and I'm going to do a talk from like 6 to 9. I'll probably have an hour of a skywatch in there if it's warm enough. March 26th, it's like 6:30 to 9, I believe, and I'm going to talk about the physics that I think they use, and it's physics that is discussed in a lay level so that I don't lose anybody, because it is within reach of someone who doesn't have a physics and astronomy degree. It just has to be explained in a way they can understand. And so I'm going to talk about it. It's actually an interdimensional travel mechanism where, if you can imagine this, a ship traveling, let's use Pluto. It's at Pluto. It wants to come here. As it travels from Pluto to here, there's lots of obstacles in the way. We've got other planets, of course, and unless you're really a bad pilot, you're going to hit one, right? So it's going to be... You're going to have those to worry about. You're also going to have little pieces of debris and micrometeorites, a few asteroids possibly that could be close to you, although the asteroids are really far apart from each other in general. But if you went from Pluto to here, it's going to be kind of tricky. You got to make sure there's no debris in the way, right? Well, what if I told you there was a way to actually go from Pluto and skip out of the 4 dimensions that we're living in which all that debris is living in, and then pop back in at a new X, Y, and Z coordinate point without having gone the distance from, say, Pluto to the Earth. You just go from Pluto to this 5th dimension, and then from the 5th dimension to Earth. So it's sidestepping the speed of light, it's sidestepping the rules that we know in the 4 dimensions, and it's making it so that we end up in a position where the universe becomes a lot smaller. And this 5th dimension I'm talking about, and we're talking about Kaluza-Klein theory here. Kaluza, K-A-L-U-Z-A, and Klein, Klein. And it's a dimensional travel methodology that uses a 5th dimension within string theory. And it's well known within the string theory variations that this Randall-Sundrum 1 string theory variation is the one that they would use if they were going to get around in the universe. If they want to avoid all the debris, if they want to just punch in to our universe and punch out and then punch in somewhere else, this is what you use. So let me give you an example. You travel 12 inches in our 4 dimensions, and you travel 12 inches. You go into this 5th dimension, go in just a little bit, okay? And you travel 12 inches in there, and when you come back out, you'll find that 12 inches was really 27 inches, for instance, as an example. And the farther in you go, and you travel that same 12 inches, when you come back out, that 12 inches farther in where the universe is much more warped, the farther in you go, the universe is much more compact around you. That 12 inches, and 12 inches is just an arbitrary number, 12 inches inside, when you're far into that 5th dimension, when you come back out, that 12 inches could translate to, say, from here to Alpha Centauri. Okay? So it's a matter of the energy that you generate. It's a matter of the particles you generate called Kaluza-Klein gravitons. And it's a matter of how far into this 5th dimension you can slide your ship. Luckily, you don't have to worry about bringing your ship in there because the Kaluza-Klein gravitons are from the 5th dimension. So if you generate them, and CERN just validated, by the way, that they exist, just so you know, there's a white paper on it on the CERN website, the Large Hadron Collider. If you find yourself generating these particles, they are automatically pulling whatever they're surrounding into this 5th dimension. So as long as you keep a ready supply of them around your ship, you can go in and out of this 5th dimension with impunity, and so you never have to worry about like running into a meteorite or an asteroid. You may have to worry about materializing inside of one if you come back. And as some of you out there are thinking, oh no, the Philadelphia experiment or transporters from Star Trek. Cosmic Ray, that's funny. The D'Antonio 5th dimension zone. So the point is, this technology looks like it may be the only way that they can actually travel vast distances. Now, my friend Robert Schroeder had come up with this concept years ago, and I'm very good friends with Bob, and he came up with this. He has a book called Solving the UFO Enigma. It's very dense. It's got a lot of equations in it and so forth. If there's people out there that like physics, you can find that book, Solving the UFO Enigma by Robert Schroeder, and dig through it and understand a little bit about what he's talking about. So it really is the only methodology by which we can be here, by which they can be here. And it is the only methodology by which we can leave here and go a long distance. Now, so there's no wormholes, nothing like that. That's too dangerous. The Einstein-Rosen bridges, which are wormholes, are really only theoretical anyway, you know. So, hopefully that... yeah, well, you don't like that theory?
Well, you know, put down the bong, dude. That's all I'm gonna say.
Hey, look, I don't do that at all. I don't have time for doing that kind of stuff. I'll tell you what, Avi Loeb just came on board with it, and he's the chairman of astrophysics at Harvard. So, you know, I think that's pretty telling. You know, it's not just Mark D'Antonio talking about it. Now it's Avi Loeb. Now it's other people. Now it's other people that are actually very much into the possibilities. I think Michio Kaku would probably talk about it if he was asked the question. He probably would agree that it's a possibility.
Joe Cocker?
Joe Cocker. Okay, well, you know.
I'm sorry, is that what you said?
No, I said Michio Kaku.
Oh. All right, well.
You heard Joe Cocker?
Yes.
Holy cow. Wow. Hello, Jorge Cortez. How are you? Yeah, Cosmic Flow is with us here tonight. And no, I mean, I say so. Sam S says, have we found KK particles yet? Found a way to test string theory? You know, okay, the first thing, yes. The second thing, no. We have not found a way to test string theory yet. But yes, the Atlas detector at the Large Hadron Collider did, in fact, detect Kaluza-Klein gravitons. If you look up Kaluza-Klein particle and CERN, you will find the white paper on the site, on the official CERN site, talking about it. So it's not, you talk about put down the bong. Well, you better tell all these other scientists to put it down too, because they're in the middle of the researching it. I'm not in the research directly. I'm just passing it along. This is beautiful. Holy cow!
Sure is.
Pull out a little more detail. Oh, look at that. This beautiful squiggle up there, that is gorgeous, and it goes all the way out over here. Wow, 28 frames is all it took to get to that. Okay, I'm going to put the name of this object up here. We're going to just call it the Boogeyman. By the way, every time we label something up here, it's actually going to be available to you on our server at skytourlive.org. And it's going to be labeled Boogeyman Nebula, and you're going to go and see it, and you're going to grab it. So if you want, so if I hit save, okay, it saves an astronomical file format that we use privately to image process. You could do it too if you want.
The Boogeyman himself is the big figure at the lower right quadrant. He's sort of reclining back. His head is on the right. His feet are sticking out on the left. That's the dark arm going up and to the left is his right arm. And then that fainter part down below the body is his right arm. But anyway, that's the Boogeyman right there.
And he's flying through space. And it looks like he's leaving behind some dark nebulae as he goes. So what's interesting about this is we see a soft hydrogen emission in here. Okay, this is ionized hydrogen. All right. We see this dark nebula. This is dense, relatively speaking. So there might be stars hiding in here that we can't see in the darkest parts. So if we come in, right, you can see that there is stars that look like they're in the nebula, very, very faint stars. Those are actually in the nebula. Let me turn off the unsharp mask, it'll actually reduce the graininess just a bit. Okay, and so now you look at this nebula down here, and you can see that there's a bright star, and you get just reflection. It's not a reflection nebula; it's just a straight reflected dust. Very interesting stuff. All right, so we have a lot going on in this region of space. Yeah. Izabela, thank you for that addition you just added. You can check papers from SLAC, National Accelerator Laboratory, Stanford University. They talk about this long before CERN existed, actually. And the scientists there proposed CERN partially for, I'm going to guess, the purpose of looking for these things. That's what I'm guessing you're going to say. How can I find the Boogeyman? What is the catalog number? The catalog number, Jorge, it's a Linz Dark Nebula object, LDN 1622. I'll add that to the name. Oh no, I actually already started saving, so I can't. But it's LDN 1622. If we go to our Stellarium view for a moment, okay, here it is right here. LDN 1622, and if you use Stellarium, hit the F4 key, and it brings up this list of stuff, and you have Sky, SSO, and you have DSO, Deep Sky Object. And the Deep Sky Objects, you click on these different catalogs, and LBN and LDN are in there, and that'll allow you to see what's going on, okay? And you could then see those objects. All right. That's really pretty. This is just gorgeous tonight. It is almost overhead, so that's not bad. Let's go back here and let's color correct. I color correct some as we move through the night. And it was good I did, because this color correction shows the emission nebula quite nicely here. This is a halo caused by our very fast photographic system. It's an artifact in our, for the Patreon folks of $10 or more a month, we supply images like this without the rings. We remove them, and we do hours of processing to get the images looking really good.
That is a cool pic.
I love that separation here. Looks great. Jorge, I'm not sure if the Sea Star will pick it up. It's a very small objective on the Sea Star. If you're in a very dark area, maybe you might see it by the contrast between the red here. But you are subject to your resolution with that. I mean, we do have the Dawes limit, which is directly related to the diameter of the telescope's objective. And so you may see it as a fuzzy object, but you won't see any of the detail like this, really, in my guess. And it just has to do with the way it, with the size of the diameter of the opening of the Sea Star. Okay. All right, 33. We'll go to 35 for this and move on. Let's go up here. Orion is now in an excellent position to start perusing. I was thinking that we would come down here and do the Orion Nebula followed by the 13th Pearl, and then kind of do a mosaic over here. Unless you got another idea, if you think of anything else.
Who, me?
Yeah, you're the only one I'm talking to.
Oh, well, there's all the usual objects. You've got you got the flame, you got the horse head.
Mm-hmm.
It's all interesting. You got the witch head next to Rigel.
Yeah, I saw that. I actually started working on that earlier tonight, and it wasn't quite dark yet, so it might look better now. I have the Mason Nebula too, but that's huge.
Yeah, that's big but kind of dim. You can kind of see it, that faint red right there.
Yeah, that's large scale.
Yeah.
This red square is the size of our field, guys. 1.5 degrees by 1 degree in size. So in other words, 3 full moons by 2 full moons tall.
Mesa is that top star in that little triangle. Basically, that's the head of Orion the Hunter.
Yeah, let's take away the in there. So
maybe you can see the faint big red cloud there.
Yeah, you can see
it.
It
Is quite large. Shows up easily on a wide field view.
Yeah,
I used to catch that with 400 speed film back in the days of film. You'd see Mesa, you'd see Barnard's Loop, Orion Nebula, the whole thing.
Yeah, from a dark site like Leadville where you were, I bet you it was pretty clear. This is one of the nicest Boogeymen we've done.
Yeah.
Let me try to
I like how the dark clouds on the upper left are really popping now.
Look at that. Oops, I made it a little too dark. Wait, it might be able to compensate by doing this. Not quite. I gotta back this out a little bit more. Wow, look at that. Let me go way out. It'll be too much, but I wanted to see. Yeah, you can see, so that's pretty cool. Let me just... This is our dark level, guys, the far left one. Yeah, Cosmic Ray says, many people don't realize how large these things are. At the distance of the Boogeyman, which I forget, it's probably several thousand light years. We're talking many light years in size for just like things like this. And just another little point of information for you. When we look at the Pleiades, we see that there's dust around the Pleiades stars. Well, they weren't born there. They're just passing through, and they're scattering. Their light is being scattered by the dust particles. So the dust there is scattering the light from those stars, and we see it. Well, it turns out that they're about 400 light years away, and we ourselves might be in one of these extended dark nebulae that the Pleiades are passing through right now. We might be within it, looking at the universe, and not really ever have known it. So we might be in a dark cloud ourselves. So the universe is a little bit different to us. It might look very much different if we were outside the cloud. It might be a lot brighter. We might see more features when we look at things with the Hubble and the James Webb. So it's pretty cool. That's just infant. That's in infancy right now.
I dare say the Boogeyman is about as far away as everything else in the Orion cloud. You're talking on the order of 1,500 light years away.
I would say maybe, yeah.
Then 12 feet tall asked, I don't get it. Are all these stars there in real time, or are they gone a long time ago? Can you explain a little? Thanks. If the Orion molecular cloud, of which this is ostensibly a part, is about 1,500 light years away, the stars you see now, they're not real time in the sense that you're seeing them now. They're, say they were 1,500 light years away, you're seeing them as they were 1,500 years ago. They're almost all of them surely are still there.
Yeah, they will maybe have moved because everything's in motion. Stars have motions. We call that proper motion. But as we've said many times, the universe is a time machine. Every single star you look at, including ours, you're seeing as it was at a particular point in the past. For our sun, it's 8 minutes or so, 8.5 minutes or so in the past. For stars like Alpha Centauri, that's 4 years ago. Stars here, if they're roughly the same distance as this, then, and let's say 1,500 light years, I'm not sure, I gotta check, then you're seeing them as they were 1,500 years ago. And because stars are so long-lived, they're probably still there and probably still doing what stars do, and that's shine. But they are moving, so 1,500 years of motion is what we're not seeing. It takes time, but if you could see a snapshot, snap your fingers and see it now, every one of these stars will be in different places than on our star charts, except for those that are coming right at us or going directly away from us.
And the dark clouds, as the nature of them, I mean, they're between us and what's behind them. And a lot of the stars you see are actually closer. They're foreground objects.
Yeah.
Which means they're less than 1,500 light years away. But you're looking pretty deep here.
Yeah, this is really cool. I mean, you're starting to see variations now in the darkness of the cloud. See that? That's really something. That translates to a three-dimensional illusion to us. I want to see something here. Let's go to LDN 1622. And I want to just see if it has any information about it. Yeah, it says its distance is 1,631 light years. So we can assume that that's roughly the same distance as the Orion complex objects, you know, because they are in the same molecular cloud here. So,
Jorge, T Corona Borealis will not supernova. If it hasn't already done it, it will go nova, but it will not go supernova. They say when it goes, it'll be about as bright as a second magnitude star. If you look up and see Corona Borealis, the brightest star in Corona Borealis is called Gemma or Alphecca.
yeah.
It's in the crown, and it is like the jewel in the crown. It's about a second magnitude star. So when T Corona Borealis happens, if and when it happens, it will be about as bright as Alphecca, the otherwise the brightest star in Corona Borealis.
Hey, Gemma Jackson. That's funny. Why is it called Gemma? She wants to know.
GEMMA.
Yeah.
Its usual name is Alphecca, Alphecca, Alphecca. Gemma is just another name, and I couldn't tell you right offhand. Oh, I see, because your name is Gemma.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's named after you, Gemma.
Yeah. I always just kind of took that it means like gem. You could look up Gemma and see what it says.
I actually, I have a book around the corner from me here in my office, and it's a book called Star Names, Their Lore and Meaning, and I'm sure Gemma is in there. If I could lay my hands on the book, I'd look it up. So we got 44 images here. I'm going to save this now.
Why don't I look it up?
All right, do that while I'm doing it, because the book's around the corner here, and I might have to go rummaging. I know, Gemma, huh? Isn't that cool? You got a star named after you. Hey, Liminal, how you doing? Liminal says, this view never gets old. I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
Yep. Gemma is Latin for jewel.
Awesome.
That's where the name comes from. That's with a G, though. GEMMA.
Well, I think JEMMA is better myself. Because now we know it's not Gemma. Right? It's Gemma, for sure. All right. Okay. All right, 45. We're going to save here and leave the Boogeyman behind for the evening. Yeah. And then we're going to save this. Save this. Exactly as seen. That's interesting. We used to get an error when we tried to save over the same one, but that's alright. Alright, we'll do this. I should just save it. I'll save it again. This is going to process nicely, guys. Really process nicely. Let's just take one last peek at this guy right down here. Alright, this is the reflected nebula. Notice the little shaded areas in here. These are dark nebulae in here that the light isn't reaching, and it makes like a kind of like a shadow a little bit, you know. And if you look at this, it's very dark in the middle here. That's where it's densest and where there's less light penetrating from the stars in the area around it. But then you see that it gets lighter and looks lighter in here. This is a very elaborate cloud right here. Now, to give you an idea, when we say dense, all right, what are we talking about for density? Well, if you think of a sugar cube, right, a regular sugar cube, a little square sugar cube, if you look at me down there, okay, a little sugar cube that has 30 atoms in it is considered a dense, relatively dense, dark cloud in space, okay? Now, it can have more because they do gravitationally contract against each other and form things like planets, and the hydrogen within them will condense to form stars and collapse down to form stars gravitationally. So the density increases exponentially, of course, but for a regular cloud, like a drifting cloud like out here, we're only talking a few atoms per cubic centimeter or per sugar cube size area. So it's actually kind of interesting how the density of the universe looks from far, far away. This looks like it's impenetrable, yet once you got there, you'd be flying through it and not know you're even in it. Just like the Earth. in the potential cloud that the Pleiades are passing through right now. We don't even know we're in it, but from some distance away, like from there, okay, there might be a strip that looks like this, and our Earth and the Pleiades might be within that strip, as seen from over here by the Boogeyman. That's cool.
Star Voyager said, are those arms of dust cloud caused by something large passing through the cloud? Something. If it's part of the Orion molecular cloud, well, there's a whole bunch of stuff there. There's a whole lot that has been happening there for a very long time. Supernovas, stars blowing up, movements of the cloud over time.
Yeah, everything's orbiting the galaxy, so that motion will translate to motions within the cloud too. And don't forget, those particles in the cloud are gravitationally bound to, and could be gravitationally bound to each other, and the molecules and atoms in this cloud can be gravitationally pulled and massaged by stars that are passing close by too. Stars are big giant gravity wells, and so they deform space, and the dust is going to fall into those deformations in space. So interesting, and Star Voyager says an undulating cloud of dust. I guess if you watched it long term, Star, you would actually see that it would do that kind of weird pulsation and motion. And so we're seeing the snapshot in time because it takes many tens of thousands of years to detect the slightest movement in these clouds. And the only reason for that is because they're so far away. All right. Okay. I've talked myself into 50 ones, and now I'm actually going to quit now at 50. Right, so that'll be out there now. The Boogeyman looks gorgeous. We'll go back to our low light mode now. Any ideas?
What?
Do you have any ideas for what we want to see right now? Because I
Oh, you're in Orion, the usual.
I want to do something that's less than the usual. We could go to Rosette right now. And
well, do that then.
And then we got Christmas Tree Cluster, Hubble's Variable Nebula.
If you go back, show Orion the belt, and especially the lower part of Orion right now. That Orion molecular cloud, you see where the crosshair is, 1622. That is just a tiny part of a huge, huge cloud covering much of Orion.
Yes, that's right.
And there is so much mass there. There are so many things in there and neat stuff going on that, it's like watching a cloud across the sky. You can watch it and you'll see the cloud is there, but if you look closely at the cloud, you'll see little wisps turn and move in and out and vanish and reappear as new ones.
Yeah.
There's just a whole lot happening up in that part of the sky.
Yeah, and let's take a look at the all-sky camera out here. Okay, and now if we turn on the constellations for a minute, you can see Betelgeuse down here, and you see Orion, and I'll just turn it off now that I've shown you. Okay, here is Betelgeuse, here is Bellatrix, here's Rigel, and here's Safe. Here is Alnitak, Alnilam, and Mintaka, and here's the sword of Orion, where the Orion Nebula is. You'll notice that it looks like we have a cloud all through here and all down here. Okay, this is the winter Milky Way, and we're looking right now at the area where the Orion molecular cloud is. This is part of one of the spiral arms in our galaxy, and we're in it looking out at it. Okay, so it's a collection of dark dust in here, and a lot of that dust is in Orion down here as well. And so this is the totally large overview of everything that's out there going on right now, and that's what we see. We have Castor and Pollux, the Gemini twins, with with Mars. We have Jupiter right here, okay, with the Pleiades, and Aldebaran with the Hyades here. Okay, that cluster. This is Taurus the Bull, all right, here. This is the Gemini twins right here, this area. And then Orion the Hunter right here. Orion's hunting dog, Sirius, is down here. And there's a lot of really interesting material out here and stuff to see. But, you know, the Milky Way doesn't stop just because summer's over and we have the summer Milky Way. Because this is the winter Milky Way, and it's all one cohesive, singular view of the separate spiral arms as seen from inside our position in one of those spiral arms. Tiffany echoes with us. Hey, Tiffany.
Hi, Tiffany. Hind Cherry asks Izabela, where was the boogeyman? She doesn't see it. If you look right there, Hind, at the figure of Orion, just right of center in Stellarium, you see the three stars close together are the belt, and the crosshair flashing STLS. That is the location of the boogeyman.
Or does she mean on the server?
I'm sorry?
Or does Hind Cherry mean on the server?
Maybe I missed that.
I don't know either. I'm just asking. You know what? Hind will let us know. All right.
Well, here's the server, and this image will be landing there.
Yep. Okay. Thank you, Darrow. Okay. Let's
As for where the boogeyman is, it's right there where the crosshair is.
yeah.
Go about halfway from Mount Attack to Betelgeuse, and then skip over to the left to the east a little bit, and there's LDN 1622.
Yep.
So you're going to ditch Orion and go to the Rosette?
I'm going to come back to Orion.
All right.
Yeah, because about halfway between Betelgeuse and Alnitak, and a little bit to the left of that midpoint, is where we're looking. I think you just said that, though.
I think I did.
Okay. All right, well, I'm going here for a reason, because we're talking about the molecular cloud, and I want to show you that it's not only in Orion, and this particular cluster shows us the dynamicism of these of the stars and what they do. Here's the star cluster in the middle of this Rosette Nebula. It's called a rosette because you can see a faint circle here of nebulous detail, and that's what we're looking at here. That's the Rosette Nebula. And I'm going to just jump right in because this is actually really pretty, and I'll do an exposure. Well, this one only needs about 30 seconds. We don't need to go 45. Okay, and then we'll come out of this and go in to our low light, our deep sky mode, and you'll see the previous image in here, the boogeyman. Look at all that detail. Oh, this is going to be beautiful. Just such a beautiful location. Now when this first one comes up, it'll overwrite that, but not on the server. It's just going to overwrite the buffer in here that we're looking at.
Voila.
What?
I said voila.
Voila. It's just boom ba. Yeah, so this will be, I'm going to color correct and then go do this. It's going to spread it out, soften everything. So this is the Rosette Nebula, and the Rosette points out some really interesting anomalies inside, namely these tendrils of dust. Okay. Also, you'll notice that there is a star cluster in here. This is a hot young star cluster, right? And you'll notice that it looks like it's in a hole. Why is it in a hole? Well, it's not really a two-dimensional hole. It's a three-dimensional cavity that the stars have carved out. They carved them out with their very, very powerful stellar winds, because young stars have these high stellar winds. You know, the force of the radiation actually has a pressure that's detectable, and that's what we're seeing here. It's a detectable pressure. And that detectable pressure is what's happening here. Let me just bring everything back into... There we go. So these stars have carved out a hole inside this nebula. And it's a three-dimensional, roughly spherical hole. And if we bring this in a little more, we'll see a little more detail that's in here. And again, the stars are hot. They're ionizing the hydrogen gas in here, making it glow red, because ionized hydrogen will glow red. That's known as hydrogen alpha. This in here, this is dark dust that's in here. The dark dust is mixed with the hydrogen. And so we see a lot of different features. I'll give you an example. We zoom in down here. Okay. You can see this dark dust, and it sort of is like a stalk, and it's pointing at the cluster. Here's another one, a stalk, and it's pointing at the cluster. What's going on? Why is it pointing at the cluster? There has to be a reason. Is the cluster doing something to it? And the answer is that it is. The cluster is actually shaping the dark clouds around the cluster. And the way it's doing it is with those stellar winds. You know, we come back over here and you look at like this stalk right here. This area at the top is pretty dense. It's a much denser region up here than what's behind it. So what happens is, and what's around it. So this stuff can withstand the stellar pressure of its radiation. It protects what's behind it, but what's around it gets eroded away and pushed back. So this is stuff that may have been up here before, but it's pushed back. Similar with this one. This area is sort of round, looks like a fingertip on the end of a finger. And so this area being more dense could very well be an area that's a gravitationally collapsing region. And this gravitationally collapsing region could eventually form planets and maybe stars in there. And so this is something that happens in these nebulae. And when we see this, we say, well, the stuff around the outside of this dense region is probably going to be pushed away and down into here where it is. And this will make a stalk because the stuff behind it is protected, as I said. So that's how stalks work, and they're also known as pillars. You're familiar with them, with the pillars of creation in Messier 16, the Eagle Nebula, which is in our summer sky.
Can you pull that back from the left a bit again for just a moment? That smaller stalk, the smaller pillar.
Here?
The one above it, the smaller one, the one to the upper left.
Okay, up here.
That one. If you look carefully, right at the very right-hand tip of it, there is a star there.
This guy.
And I would wonder if that star might not be emerging from that nebulosity.
Hard to tell. Hard to tell. Yeah, yeah. Nothing's off the table when it comes to a nebula like this. You know, it's many light years across. If you were in there, you'd have subtle glows of hydrogen all throughout your sky, but you'd be seeing it from inside, which is kind of cool. Let's bring our black level up.
Star Voyager asked. Star Voyager, are the young stars in front of the nebula? The young stars in that cluster are inside the nebula.
Yeah, they're carving out that spherical hole in there.
Right.
So that's coming out at you, going away from you. You know, it's 3D. Everything in the universe is 3D. There's no 2D. So, for instance, this nebula here can be way up here in the foreground, and this bright stuff here in the background could be far away on the other side of the cluster, and we're seeing the light reflected back from that far side. So everything can be at vastly different distances, but still associated with the star cluster.
I dare say those dark wisps you see at the upper right, from about 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock,
Yeah, these.
those are closer.
Yeah, and those are because you can see, if we zoom in, you can see how this one is blocking the bright red behind it. So those are definitely closer to us. Yep. Okay. And there's also other things in here you'll notice, and you'll see that look like little spots, like, oh, is that dirt on the actual camera? The answer is no. These are really there. These are areas that have survived the erosion by the hot stars, and maybe the dust that's like sort of filtering back here used to be here, and that has been pushed back slowly, maybe. And these areas are what are called globules, Bok globules, B-O-K for Bart J. Bok, an astronomer. He taught my astronomy class, actually, when I was getting my degree in astronomy. And the Bok globules are areas that have been identified as gravitationally collapsing areas where stars and now solar star systems actually may form with planets. And so that's what we're looking at here. Not bad at all. It's just incredible. You know, but you got to zoom way in to see them because they're very small. They're only a light year or two across, as opposed to, you know, being, you know, 40 light years across or 25 light years across or so. So this is just beautiful. So if we back out here you see it. Now I'm going to color correct again, and that's going to make a difference in how we're viewing this. But we're seeing this in very close to the actual colors of this nebula, if not right on the money. I might take out a little of the blue and then a little of the green. So it's more like that. But isn't that something?
Nice picture.
It really is beautiful. Really is beautiful. Now from here we're gonna head over and go back into Orion, and we're gonna come down here, and we're gonna look at Orion's Nebula, the Running Man, Orion, and then we're gonna go south and see more directly into the molecular cloud that is the heart of Orion down in here. We'll do that shortly. I'll go to 20 exposures with this.
When I see nebulas like this, I've said this before, it reminds me of old Gustave Doré illustrations he did back in the 1800s. I mean, some of them are almost biblical looking.
Yeah.
Like you're looking up into the clouds of heaven, or we're staring down into this hole you talked about, and it's so three-dimensional as it's like a tunnel almost. You're looking down a tunnel.
Yeah.
Where the cluster is in the middle.
Yeah.
And
and we could like zoom in and just go into it.
those dark wisps are closer, and then the back end is farther away, and you're kind of looking down into it.
Yep. Now, if you were in here this close, you would definitely be fried. There's a lot of ultraviolet radiation being given off by them as in concert with each other, as opposed to each individual star. Each individual star is giving off some, of course, but the stars are also obviously have a net amount of ultraviolet radiation they're giving off, and that's what's illuminating the nebula. That's what's making it glow. Very nice. Okay, there's 20. So we're going to save it. That's the astronomical fits format. We'll save it exactly as seen. And we're still working, thanks to Izabela, on the app. Izabela has been working on the app that allows you to go back and look at several years worth of our data and check them out. And so that you can see the Rosette Nebula. You can say, show me all the Rosette Nebulas we ever took pictures of. And then you could actually do comparisons between them to see if anything's changed. Turns out we have seen things that have changed. Sometimes asteroids are passing through, and we've seen them pass through. Very interesting. Also, make sure that your computer is set to 1080p, because you should be able to read these words on your screen. If you can't, you probably don't have it set to 1080p, which is a much higher resolution than the base resolution that YouTube might give you. Okay.
Nice picture.
Yeah, all right. Okay, so this... okay, so here's the picture that is now up on the server, right here. And that picture you can download, put it on your desktop, do whatever you like. All right, you can zoom in, okay, and check out the different areas in here. Really cool. Very cool indeed. Okay. All right. All right, so we're going to stop here and go to the next object. And I can see that I'm going to have to change the name. I'll move that later, so it'll be under the Rosette Nebula properly. Sorry about that. Okay, so now let's go here. All right. Now, I mentioned this before in astronomy. We've often, we usually work with negatives like this, so we actually can see dark stars better than we can the light stars. And so I have, like, in the back room here, I have an old German atlas. They're called the BD Atlas, and all the stars are represented on white pages with black dots. So you say, what good is that? It was very good because we could use it to actually measure relative to other stars. We could measure different positions. Far better than if we had black background with white stars. Okay. And now we're going to go to this incredible Gorgioso Nebuloso. This is the Running Man Nebula. See the telescope moving over my head here. We're heading back in, and there's the Running Man right there. And what's below it is the Orion Nebula, which is down here, just out of the view. And we're going to actually just move this over a tiny bit. We're going to head eastward a little bit. And move it over. And move it up slightly, not much. We'll get to Orion, don't worry. Okay. I want you to see what's all up in here. Again, the Running Man Nebula is embedded in the molecular cloud. And this is actually particularly interesting because it's got a bright blue reflection nebula, which is from scattering, so it's blue. And buried within it, it's got a red hydrogen emission nebula, which through the blue looks magenta, not red. It's really interesting. You'll see it in just a sec. And we'll do this as a 25-second shot. All right.
Mark, will you excuse me a moment, please?
Yes, you're right ahead.
Thank you.
And this is the Running Man Nebula. So we're going to set the target name right now. And we'll do a live stack of this. Previous one was the one you're going to see. Oops, well, okay. I forgot to take this off, so here we go. So the Running Man is right there. You'll notice immediately in this short 25-second exposure, we've already got a tremendous amount of dust and gas And this should go to the left. This is the dark level. Should always go a little bit to the left. I'm going to change the color here. I'm going to correct for color problems. And boom. Now you see this dust shows up very, very obviously. Really cool. And let's, we're going to do something else right too. We're going to get rid of that guy. And I'm going to move my telescope out of the way. And we're just going to, I love doing that with gestures. It's much far more easy. Okay, so now we'll have it right here. So now I get the whole thing. That's the whole frame right there. There's the Magenta Nebula, which is actually the color. And you see the blue reflection nebula, but deep inside of it is this red emission nebula of hydrogen. However, because it's through blue, we're seeing it through a blue glow. The colors, it's like a color wheel. The colors are adding together. The red plus the blue yields a magenta color in light. And we're seeing kind of a magenta colored light here. Cosmic Glow says, beautiful. Yeah, and if you look, it does look like a running man, doesn't it? Well, it's kind of hard to see yet, but I'll show you. These are the front leg, back leg, arms, and he's going, ah! It's not Arnold Schwarzenegger. Stick around. So we'll let that build up a little bit. Yeah. Donald Kunzer's here. Hey, Donald, how are you? Izabela, thank you for putting the images up there. It shouldn't ask you to log in. I think that's fixed, Izabela. Tiffany says she wanted to drop in. She's not feeling well. Oh, come on. What happened, hon? You guys have a good night. I hope you and our good old buddy there are doing fine. And that's Michael, of course. We talk about him. Yeah, Donald Kunter says more like a ghost with glowing eyes. Yeah, I guess you could say that it kind of looks like a ghost with glowing eyes, yeah. Okay. All right. Well, while that's building, I wonder if I can show you something else in the meantime. Let's go see. Maybe not. I'm working on it. Yeah, better not to mess with it. I'm going to actually name our target here, which I've got, and I set it there. The Running Man, good, we're set. But I'm gonna save the image with annotations. There's a lot going on out here, let me tell you. Alright, and now let's go back, and we may have to adjust our full width half maximum. I think we do, actually. So let me bring back our stack and redock it to our image. Come back here, and we're just outside our range. I gotta bring that back in. Okay. I'll bring it back in right about here. That should be good. We'll find out. Welcome back, Daryl.
Thank you.
Yeah, there we go. You notice as we get more images stacked, the image gets better and better and better. And this is the top of the Orion Nebula down here. Okay. And let me Let me bring back my telescope here. There we go. Okay. And so as we get more of these stacked in here, what's happening is the image is getting better and better. The image sandwich is losing a lot of its noise that we see in the outskirts here. That noise causes a problem, obviously. So we're going to turn off this sharpening mechanism just to kind of soften it a little bit more. And we can soften it further by doing this. We're going to pull the dark level up just to the left of the peak, which is great. It'll give us a dark area without ruining our view. And then I'll come over here and take our mid-level, drag it out a little bit, and you'll see how it's going to change this. See how it makes it all look softer with less noise? So as we get more stacked images, we should be able to move this mid-level more and more and more to the left, because we won't have as much noise in there to worry about. So for those arriving late, I wanted to say, as I mentioned, this is probably the last stream before we actually end up with 2 telescopes and 2 observatories. So this is good. And the one we're moving to in Benson, that one will serve to be the location for future telescopes as well. So it looks to be a really good location. It's actually darker than this site, believe it or not. When you look here in our all sky, you see the Milky Way right here, horizon to horizon. But you also have this glow. That's Phoenix, about 80 miles away. Okay? And to your eye, you don't really see that. But the cameras can pick it up. So when we take photographs, okay, if you look here, east is out here, west is over here, north is up here, south is down there. So when we look at our sky, we don't take pictures of things that are out here. We take pictures when they get up about here. The clouds, you'll see them reflecting a little bit of the white light from Phoenix back down. By the time they get here, the clouds are only reflecting a little white on this side of them. If the cloud's here, it's only reflecting a little here. By here, the clouds are all dark because there's no light reflecting on them at all. Interesting, huh? That clouds can be dark against the night sky.
Just like when we see the nebulas.
Yeah.
Look right there, or when we looked at the Rosette.
Yeah, this is really nice. Trying to get my filter.
Of course, your wind is picking up.
Yeah, a little bit. So I'm just going to raise the filter just enough to keep the stars around. We are near the celestial equator, so we do have to raise that full width half maximum. See, if it goes up to like over 9 and into 10, as you see there, that's not going to be good for us. But as long as I'm not recording it, I don't have to worry about it. I just have these 5 images so far that I've taken out of all of these. So we're waiting to capture with clarity, and I can't do that until the wind stops. The wind is picking up, which is what this is causing. The telescope is shifting a little bit. When it shifts, we get this problem.
So you caught 8 and rejected 14.
That's right.
The Running Man, to me, always, if you rotated him clockwise 90 degrees, he would look like a sloth, a tree sloth, hanging out of a tree.
Are these his eyes?
Could be.
He's got a little pointy thing on, like a Teletubby. Okay, there's 10. Let me just save that here, so we can say we got 10 of them. That's actually good. Yeah, go ahead.
Izabela has a question of you.
Okay. Mark, tell us more about the new observatory, please. Is the telescope installed? Can you control it remotely now? Can you stream from there when you go there? Okay, answer your first question. A telescope's being installed when I get there. We're installing on February 7th. We have someone coming in with a pier, and he's also going to install the pier, and then I'm going to work with him to install the telescope on the pier. It'll be all aligned, and then that evening I will be setting up all the focus and so forth. It's going to be like a waxing gibbous moon, and at first you say, oh no, that's not good. However, we're going to be using a telescope that's going to be meant to look at the moon, so it'll be very interesting to see what kind of quality we get out of the images.
I dare say there's going to be a bit of a learning curve when you fire that thing up.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I've already been using it in a test mode out at our STLS place out there in Mesa, Arizona. It's sitting in Marianne's office right now, and it's plugged into the USB, and I can go connect it, move it around. And so I'm using Green Swamp Server to control it, which is nice. You just need, and I actually set up the computer that runs it here and tested it, and it looks like it's all working. So we'll see. Hopefully there won't be too much of a learning curve.
Can you use one computer to run both telescopes? Do you need two?
I wanted to do that. If I had them under the same building roof, then I think I could actually do it with one. I can have two sharp caps running with two different cameras, and so forth. And with Green Swamp, it's very easy. So what I'd like to do is say we're going to go look at the Running Man Nebula. So I would like to see both telescopes immediately go to the Running Man. And one is going to do the wide field view like this, and then one's going to be zooming in on like say this cloud. You know what I mean?
No.
Yeah, and that's the idea. And then we'll have one on one half of the screen, one on the other. And maybe we'll dispense with the images of the telescopes in the building. This isn't going to be here. We won't need this. And maybe I'll just have that on a separate screen, because right now I've got one big curved screen in front of me. What I might do is have a separate connection, a computer that runs just the security cameras and the housekeeping stuff for the building. So we'll see. Everything I can do in here, I can do right here. And this links to Stellarium too, so it's not a big deal. And all of it links to Green Swamp Server. Okay, 16 images here. We're gonna save exactly a scene. Alright, so 16 images.
Some of what I meant is like it's like getting another car. You have to learn the ins and outs of that particular car.
Yeah.
So it'll be a little different, I bet.
Yeah, I found it already is, and it's a different dynamic. It's actually a much simpler environment than what I've got set up here. And the whole thing is integration of applications is very important. SharpCap needs to integrate with Green Swamp. Stellarium has to integrate, and they do. And on the machine, I've got them integrated to each other. And so they actually work pretty good. So we'll see what happens. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is move us down. Okay.
Izabela has another question.
Okay. Let me just stop the movement here so I can read her question about the. I see what she's saying. So I'm going to come down here. There's the Orion Nebula, guys, and this is just with our low light mode. Isn't that crazy? It's beautiful. I'm going to bring this back up just a little. This is going to be a mosaic, so we're going to be able to combine these two. But I will do this, and I'm going to get to Izabela's question. All right, so let's go nearby. Great Nebula in Orion. Okay, and we'll say target name. And that changes our name up here, which appears in our server. So Izabela's question was, now I have to think about how to present the images in the app. Will they come in the same folder on the cloud, or you'll make a new one? It will be a separate SharpCap folder. So it can be named the exact same thing, but I think I want to start a naming convention where we can identify at a glance whether we're looking at the Celestron 11 folder or we're looking at the wide field. So I think moving forward, any image coming from the Celestron 11 will say C11 as part of its identifier in the name. Probably the first thing, C11, or the end. I haven't figured that out yet.
If
Okay.
you've been messing with the C11, do you have the focal reducer on it?
I do.
Are you happy with the way it acts?
I haven't been able to actually put it on a star yet and do anything with it because it's still in the office. And that's what I'm going to do when I get there. I have the focal reducer on it first, which takes it from an f10 to an f7. And then I have the off-axis guider with a guiding camera. And right behind that I have a filter wheel with the different filters that I'm planning on using. Which give... Go ahead.
Focal reducer is an f6.3.
This is the 0.7 Starazonas.
Oh, you didn't tell me that.
Yeah, it's the full field focal reducer.
All right.
And so that goes to the off-axis guider, and that goes to the filter wheel, and then that goes to the camera. And the camera will be a 294 MC Pro, which is again a beautiful camera from ZWO. Okay, we're going to do 25 seconds here. We're going to come out of low light mode and show you brilliant colors.
I thought you told me you had obtained the Celestron f6.3 reducer.
No, it's the 0.7 full field focal reducer made by Starizona, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
sorry if I left you out of that. I didn't know where we stood with discussions. I didn't know who knew what when.
when you say full field, does that mean it won't bend yet like the 6.3 does?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Actually, it literally. Oh, that's beautiful. It converts the Celestron 11 to the equivalent of the Edge HD. So that's what they explained to me.
Well, the Edge HD's focal reducer is an f7. I knew that. Okay.
Yeah. So look at these tendrils of dust draining off of the nebula. This nebula is like a blister on the molecular cloud. So everything you see in here, every single thing that you see, for a long way around too, is literally all part of the same molecular cloud. It's incredible. Now right here, this red is hydrogen gas. It's hydrogen that's being made to glow by those 4 stars that we saw in there a moment ago. Okay, called the trapezium. There's actually more than 4 stars in there, but the trapezium 4 stars are the ones that people always talk about. Then this stuff here, this gossamer stuff that seems to be covering the glow at some points, and this really is. This is oxygen, the glowing oxygen. And you'll notice in this particular region, look at how this is billowing, okay? And look how you can see this tendril of red hydrogen gas behind it. Isn't that beautiful? So this is a much lower density cloud of oxygen gas right here. And it's not oxygen you can breathe. It is an oxygen atom that's been doubly ionized, so that 2 electrons are bumped off the atom for a period of time, and they absorb energy to do that. That energy comes from these very, very high ultraviolet output stars in the trapezium, and then those electrons eventually then lose some of that energy by bouncing into other things, and they fall back into that original oxygen atom or a different one. And when they do that, they give off the energy as they cascade down multiple discrete levels in the atom, and specific quantum levels. And that light in the oxygen case is a teal, sort of a teal blue, right? So that's what we see with oxygen, and hydrogen we see red.
If you breathed it, you'd glow in the dark.
Yeah.
Well, not really. I'm just joking.
Yes, that's okay.
I mean, as he said before, you're talking at such low density there that you would suffocate if you tried to breathe it. You know, lack of oxygen.
And even if it was a very, very highly dense oxygen cloud, you still would not be able to breathe it, because even if it was at the density of our atmosphere, for some incredible reason, you still wouldn't be able to breathe it and survive, because it's not diatomic oxygen. It's not O2. It's O. And that's nothing that we can actually breathe properly. Oh yes, you can inhale it, but it won't do the job that O2 does. Look at this brown stuff trailing off here. Isn't that gorgeous?
Again, when you look up in the sky at Orion, or if you look at it in Stellarium, I mean, this is just a tiny portion of the entire molecular cloud.
Oh, yeah.
This is a very active portion of the molecular cloud, but it's just a tiny little bit of it. The whole molecular cloud takes up most of the constellation. And did I hear you say earlier, maybe I misunderstood, or when you were looking at the Rosette, that's not part of the Orion cloud, is it?
I think the entire region is part of a massive molecular cloud complex which stretches beyond the confines of Orion. It's not just in Orion. Oh. And I think that it includes the dust and hydrogen that's in the Rosette region. And it may go all the way to the Christmas Tree Nebula further over.
Interesting to consider.
Yeah, we're looking at a major area of dark dust. And as I've told you guys, you know, life began in the dark. And so it's within the dark dust clouds, the densest ones, where life is probably going to begin. Because that's where planets can form. That's where stars will form with the hydrogen gas that's also in those clouds of dust. And thus we could end up with a beautiful cloud that is host to a new star, and that star's energy will blow away a lot of that material after it's formed and make a rarefied little bubble within which the planets could form. And thus, you never know, in a couple of billion years there might be life there. And again, it's a sliding window of formation of planets in our universe. So these stars may already have planets. We actually have found in the Orion Nebula region rogue planets that are not attached to a star. Now, how in the world could that be? Well, they were formed out in open space because of the copious amounts of dust and material to do that with out here. And so it's possible that these rogue planets could be captured by a star system somewhere, or it's possible that maybe they just go on being rogue planets, like the moon used to be in Space 1999. Remember that? With Martin Landau and Barbara Bain.
Yeah, they left Mission Impossible for that.
I know, right?
Don't they call the rogue planets in Orion proplids or something?
I know a proplid is a protoplanetary system in formation, and so a proplid is like an area. Like, remember we looked at the Bach globule in the Rosette?
Yeah.
Well, proplids are going to be little dark areas where that's happening, but we also see that proplids are sometimes dragged out by the stellar winds affecting them, and so they kind of look like little tadpoles sometimes. But the proplids are precursors to potential stellar systems. Now, you will get some level of rogue planets in a heavily dusty area like this. So I'm sure there are proplids that can generate just planets, and proplids that'll generate planets with a star, and then you have a protostar in there as well. So it's not necessarily just a rogue planet. It's a star system as well in many cases. What was it that was it Rutger Hauer in Blade Runner? I have seen things you could never imagine.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
Yeah, and like something about the shoulder of Orion.
Yes. I forget the exact saying.
I stood on the shoulder of Orion and watched the such and such. I should look that up because that's really beautiful.
Yeah, give me just a second.
And what's interesting is the actual script called for him to say something different, and he kind of ad-libbed and added his own flavor to it, and that's the one they went with, and it really worked well. I worked with Douglas Trumbull for about 10 years, and he actually did Blade Runner and all the special effects. So he knew Rutger Hauer, he knew Han Solo, he knew Harrison Ford, and of course
it's called the Tears in Rain.
Tears
monologue.
in the Rain, right? The Tears in the Rain monologue.
Yeah. I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion. I watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the Tannhauser Gate. All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain. Time to die.
Yeah. Yeah. He delivered that so well. It was just an incredible monologue. Time to die. Yeah.
That's actually a signature I use in a different forum.
What, Time to Die?
Well, no, the whole tears in rain
Oh,
thing.
okay. Yes, and we don't know what C beams are, but who cares? It's C, the letter C beams, not SEA. So I don't know what C beams are, but you're not supposed to know. It's not important to know.
Hey, it was 2019, supposedly.
Yeah. You notice these lines here, guys. These lines, believe it or not, we've got 24 exposures here. They will come out over here eventually. Those are actually geostationary satellites, and when you do a 20-second exposure, you get a geostationary line of about this long as I'm drawing here. Okay, and they're over the same spot on the Earth, but we're following the stars. Okay, so as the Earth rotates out from under the stars, those satellites stay in the same place. But since we're following the objects, okay, we're following the rotation of the Earth. So those objects that are over the same spot on the Earth are going to drag out. Now, if we turned off the tracking, which is right here, if I turn that off, then where the satellites are would become a bright spot, and all the stars would drag out. So it's an easy way to identify where the geosynchronous birds are in your image, or you just wait for a dragged out line like this. Look at all this dust. Wow. Notice how at the expense of the core of the Orion Nebula, we're allowed to see the rest of the dust. Let me increase the contrast between the dust and that background. Let's just bring it right near the top. Back it away a little. Okay. Wow. See, there's the Orion Nebula, looking like you've never seen it before. It's just incredible. Oh, there's the lines.
Did you ever see Rutger Hauer in the movie Lady Hawk?
Oh gosh, that was years ago.
Yeah.
I think
That
I
was a
went.
good movie. It was him and Michelle Pfeiffer. She played Izabela. Matthew Broderick, I think, was the young guy who was like squiring for him or something, and he saw the whole thing go down.
Wow.
I always thought that was a cool movie.
I don't remember the plot.
They were cursed by some evil bishop or something, that they would never meet as people, as humans.
Okay.
That when he was, what was it? One of them was human in the daytime, the other was human at night.
Okay.
And the rest of the time he was a wolf and she was a hawk, lady hawk.
Okay.
And Matthew Broderick was like the go-between between them.
Wow.
He was a knight. He was a really tough dude. And she was a lady, Izabela. They finally got together at the end of the movie when they destroyed the evil bishop fella. Broke the curse. I always liked Lady Hawk.
Cool.
Rutger Hauer had some strange. I don't know if he just needed the work or if it amused him to do it, but he was in some pretty off-the-wall movies.
Yeah, he was.
He played the hitcher, the hitchhiker, whatever they called it.
Oh yeah.
Way back about the time of whatchamacallit, Blade Runner, and he was like a homicidal maniac in that. And then one of his last movies was Hobo with a Shotgun.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty. I think another actor that's literally in that same pigeonhole thing where he just can't get a break is Dolph Lundgren. You know, you don't hear from Dolph Lundgren much anymore. He was in the Expendables.
Yeah.
And then Stallone kicked him out of the Expendables. You know, that was part of the movie plot. All right, this is down below the Orion Nebula. It doesn't look like there's nebula here, but as soon as I take the picture, you're going to see the lower wisps. And what we're looking for is this guy right here. This is called the 13th Pearl, the Rubber Stamp Nebula. It's an area where there is an interesting development going on out here in the universe. I want to see if I can actually drop this down just a little bit more. And maybe that's about it. Okay, because I want you to see this a little more clearly. So we'll do another 25 seconds here.
I don't think Dolph Lundgren ever quite had the acting chops that Rutger Hauer did.
I think you're right. Dolph Lundgren was...
You know, he was He-Man, Master of the Universe, if I remember right.
But Dolph Lundgren's like the high school graduate as opposed to the the master's degree college graduate that was Rutger Hauer. Rutger Hauer was very much more learned in the art.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty cool. All right, so right now this is just a 25-second shot. You can see down here that this is a very odd area. And we're going to zoom in on this in a little while just to check it out. But first, let's do this. Let's get our stack rolling here. All right, and this will be our first stack image. And we can see the 13th Pearl. You can see artifacts here. That's just this right here. It depends on how much you zoomed in.
Where are the other 12 pearls?
You know what? That's a good question. By the way, Stan, Two Rivers Observatory. I saw you here earlier and I didn't say hi. I'm sorry.
He's right. Dolph Lundgren is a very smart guy. He is probably smarter than Rutger Hauer.
Yeah, but the roles he plays don't exemplify that.
Well, I understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's like a brainiac. He could have fooled me from his acting. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Hey, he's not as good an actor, but he's a very smart guy, and no doubt. Okay, so what's happening here? There's the rest of the Orion wisps I was telling you about, the Orion Nebula wisp. Down here we have these beautiful tendrils of dark nebula, and we have here a bluish nebula right here. This blue nebula is, if I recall when I looked this up earlier at some point, this nebula here is just a piece of what's going on back here, and this dark dust is sort of occluding and blocking this nebular interaction with this blue nebula. This is all scattered light from dust out here, and I think this star is the one doing it, and we just can't see what's going on behind it too well. It's a very interesting location.
Remember the name of the star at the top of the screen?
Oh, yeah.
I believe it's Hatysa.
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 Yeah. It's or Hataya. Let's go look. Let's go see. All right, so we're here, and there's the star. Hatysa. Yeah, you got it right. The lost jewel of Orion. Yeah. Yeah, that's the bright nebula at the bottom. Okay. So we're here. Okay, and this is roughly where we are. We're not really there. We're just about here, actually. Okay.
Well, you're up a little higher.
Yeah, I see 13th Pearl's here.
Yeah.
It's there. So
in your field,
it's like
those two
it's like
stars at
here.
the upper left are there in your field, and Hatice is right at the top of the field of view.
Yeah, right there. That's where we are. This is the closest star to us, actually, where we are. And we can actually align on that. So we're good here. So much going on in Orion. It's incredible. Hope you guys are having fun tonight. I'm really enjoying having you here with us.
I imagine Dolph Lundgren needed some spending money when he did that deodorant commercial.
I imagine. I mean, he can't get a job doing his chemical engineering stuff.
Izabela, I think you're right. She mentions a keyhole.
Yeah, and it's the empty space. And we're going to zoom in on it a little bit once we get a little bit more. Actually, we might be able to do it now. Let me, I'm going to remove some of the detail. You can say, oh no, but you're going to see the area here kind of clean up a little bit. See that? All right, and now we're going to zoom in on it. And this is that little weird shaped nebula right here. See how it looks? It's got a little finger sticking here, and it's got that. And there's some research indicating that this might actually be a void, a true void, in this particular nebula. They do exist. Oh, Sheldon, you're okay. Thanks, man. Isn't that pretty though? That's the actual keyhole right there. Neat.
Very nice.
You'll see that this star has sort of a red glow around it. That's because it's within the dark nebula, and its glow is actually falling on the dust, and so the star is reflecting. I'm sorry, the dust is reflecting the red light of the star. It's not a hydrogen emission. It needs more ultraviolet for that. I think it's just this is just a straight reflection of red light off the dust in that particular case. And I'm saying that because if I recall, I went into Sinbad, which is the database for these things, and was trying to locate the star. And when I found it, it stated that it was actually a star that wasn't capable of generating a lot of ultraviolet radiation. So that could only be a reflection of red light. Like if you go to a red light at a stoplight in a road, and you hold up a white piece of paper, the white piece of paper is going to have a red glow on it. Then it'll have a green glow when it gets green. Okay, so let's do the color correction again. Alright, that changed. And now let's pull back in our levels. Here we go, and punch it up. Nice.
Brings out the blue in that cloud above the star.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, above the nebula.
So you see how much stuff is here. I'm going to pull this back a little bit. Go back a tiny bit more. Jorge says, appreciate the time you take to teach us more about the cosmos. Hey, it's okay, Jorge. I love it. It's great. Gracias, mi amigo. I'm really happy that you enjoy it. Payne 1721 says Skeletor is activating the keystone.
Hey, got you, He-Man.
who played Skeletor in the movie with Dolph Lundgren?
Oh, I knew that at one point.
Frank Langella.
Oh, Frank Langella. Yeah, he'd be good for Skeletor.
Who played Dracula back in the day.
Yeah, I know. Remember that?
Yep.
Frank Langella. His family must have gotten really sick of him staying in character when he got home. I want some dinner. Just talk normal, Frank, will you? Sorry. All right. Okay. What a beautiful region. Look at this subtle dust cloud. That's something that's been elusive from us. We haven't seen that before. Very nice, very nice, very nice. So eventually, this telescope will probably leave this building and come to the Benson site.
Eventually. I thought that was part of the plan.
Yeah, that's right. Eventually. But right now, there's no reason we need to leave this site at the moment. But I may want to convert it over to the other mount before it leaves this site. And put a higher pier so that this will be ready to go into Benson. And also, we'll have better views from this particular vantage point as well.
Maybe so you can see Omega Centauri.
You got it. Omega Centauri. From this location, Omega Centauri is about 6 degrees above the horizon, I think. Or is it 16 degrees above the horizon? And down in Benson, it's higher because we're 200 miles southeast of this particular location where the other observatory is going to be. And it's on a 3,600 foot, raised plateau.
I think Omega Centauri would be 6 degrees up from Wickenburg.
Yeah, maybe it was 16.
When I saw it from down in the far southern New Mexico desert, it was about 8 degrees up.
Okay. Oh, Stan, Two Rivers. No, this is the telescope that's right here. This is the Meade LX600 that's been converted to f1.8, which is very fast photographically for those of you that don't know what that means. It means that we're 25 times faster than the standard Meade LX600. The new one is being installed next week when I go out there. We have everything ready. I'm taking the new computer with me for the building. I shipped a circuit out there ahead of time. It's going to control with relays. It's going to control everything. And then I wrote a program to control all that stuff, and that's going to be similar to the program I have here for this observatory. This is the program I wrote for this observatory. And that is going to be instituted at the new place as well. And that's going to be the sticky point. I need a different COM port to put the other cameras on if I'm going to use the same computer. And if I use the same computer, I can have the same microcontroller controlling the roof and the telescope power easily enough, because I have different basically digital channels, these pins, IO pins that I can use to control the roof of one observatory, the roof of the power of one telescope and the power of another can all be done from one microcontroller. So with just a little additional coding finesse, I can get 3, 4, 5, 6 telescopes under one roof. Also, on the telescope that's going to either be here or in Benson, I'm going to add a telephoto on the barrel looking up in the sky with a camera, so that we can actually get an exceedingly wide field shot of the sky, much wider field than even what we have here. So this way we'll be able to say photograph all of Orion in one shot. So that'll be kind of cool if we get to that.
In the days of film, that would have been a 50 millimeter normal lens.
You got it. That's right.
I don't know how that converts to SLRs or whatever camera.
Yeah.
Frame size.
Okay, 34 frames here. We're going to save these. I'm going to first change the name up here. We're going to call it 13th Pearl. And although that's down the bottom, but that's okay. 13th Pearl, and we'll say save. Save exactly as seen. That's it. We are done. The other thing that you get if you join our Patreon up here is the files. We're going to take these images, all these consecutive images, and mosaic them together, and then process them, and that's something you'd be given as well for $10 and above a month. Oh, there you go.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, this is a Hyperstar system we're using on this stand, as Daryl just told you. Yes, this is just with the Hyperstar we're looking at right here. Keep in mind, the camera that you use is going to change your field size. When I was using the 294 MC Pro, I found that the 294 MC Pro gave us a 2 degree wide field and 1.5 degree tall field, so massive amount of field. But when I got this new camera, which is the 183 MC Pro, and it's got twice the pixels of the other camera. And so what that does, what it ends up translating to is a smaller field. So instead of a 2 degree field, it's 1.5 degrees. And instead of a degree and a half tall, it's only a degree tall. So that field size changes a little bit, but that's cool. And Stan says, I can't get my LX200s to be that clear. I have an LX200 right behind me. And I found that they were problematic. So I stopped trying to get it to be a perfect camera. Perfect camera host, unfortunately. Okay, we're going to go to 40 here.
your current telescope is pretty much an evolution from the LX200, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess, but we've changed so much on it that it doesn't really hold a candle or compare, I should say. The LX200 doesn't compare to it much at all. Now, okay, with the Hyperstar on it. Hey, Hein, thank you for coming along and hanging with us. Good to see you tonight. So let's see now. Yeah, okay. All right, good. So we did that. We did a bunch of objects tonight. We were able to showcase them for you. And I am glad that we got to hang out together. So this was the last object. This was the last region. Okay, so look for the images up at skytourlive.org. Please consider supporting us with a Patreon or going to buy something at the Etsy store, SkyTour shop. We'd love it. And we will actually check you out the next time. Now I have to go to Florida tomorrow for 3 days, and then I come back here on Monday, and then on Tuesday I fly to Arizona, and then I'm going to be installing the telescope while I'm out there. And that's going to be a big project. I don't think I'll be able to stream, but I know that I can stream from the Benson Observatory, so I may just do a live stream with my phone while I'm out there. So we'll see. So I hope you guys have a good night, and we'll see you on the other side of all this. All right?
Good night, everybody.
So good night, folks. We'll see you soon.
Stars so bright in the sky, on Arizona nights they fly. Nebulae in colors rare, galaxies beyond compare. Sky tour in the night so clear, brings the universe near. Real-time wonders to see, streaming live for you and me. Lift your eyes to the skies, universe in all its light. Sky tours bringing the views. Every night feels brand new. In the dark, the night unfolds, stories of the cosmos told. Through the lens, a distant dream, living real like a gleam. Far away, up so high, across the stars beyond the skull. Through the lens, a distant dream, living real like a gleam. Lift your eye up so high, across the stars beyond the sky. Sky tour shows us the way, every night a new display. Lift your eyes to the skies, universe in all its light. Sky tours bringing the views. Every night feels brand new. Lift your eyes to the skies, universe in all its light. Sky tours bringing the views. Every